This is preview video 7.2, part 2, inscribed angles. Switch up, sit tall, and inhale. Breath. And exhale. You are right here. Don't forget the date, time, and location for today's video, as well as a parental sign-off affirming that you did this on your own. You're looking at this page. Get your Post-its handy, please. You're going to frame angle C and sweep the grabbed arc. Frame angle E and sweep the grabbed arc. So let's frame these up real quick. Framing E. Now, sweep the angle, sweep the arc it's grabbing, follow it out. It grabs from here to here. Then we're going to frame angle C. Sweep the angle and follow. The arc goes from here to here. Now, we don't know the measure of this individual angle corresponding to this individual arc. But if you look very carefully, put your fingers on these two angles. These two angles together, with your finger, trace, grab these two arcs. And if you notice, if they grab these two arcs, and these two arcs are 360, that means these two angles have to add up to whatever they are, 180. Now we're going to frame angle B, going this way. This time we're going to squiggle the angle and squiggle the arc. Follow it out. It starts from here to here. So that's the blue. And frame angle D. Squiggle that angle. Follow it out. Squiggle this arc. Take a close look here. Now, once again, you don't know the measure of these two angles, but between the two of them, use your finger, the yellow and the blue arc. Between the two of them, they grab 360, which means these two inscribed angles together must add up again to 180. I like you to just physically trace B, C, D, E. Just trace it. That's an inscribed quad. And what couple things that are true, besides the fact that this adds up to 360, the arcs grab a total of 360, so the angles, opposite angles, must add up to 180. So the opposite angles of an inscribed quad are supplementary. That's going to come into play for the next three problems. We're going to do three problems together, and then you're going to do one on your own. Step one, you want to darken your vertexes. Darken your vertexes. And those are your on vertexes. Wherever you have an on vertex, that's where you're going to use your Post-it notes. So I'm going to start with this on vertex because this is the only angle that has some sort of algebra with it. So I'm going to frame that angle. And I establish relationship means what's going on here. So this angle grabs this arc. Physically trace it, angle, arc. Use your fingers. This arc is twice as big as this inscribed angle. Okay, an inscribed angle is half the arc. So another way to look at it is that 2 of the angle equals 1 of the arc. So if this is 6x minus 7, this arc is going to be 2 times 6x minus 7. So let's see how that helps us. Use your finger, go all the way around. Notice we now have all the arcs. So now we can solve. Right down here, we're going to go 76 plus 10x minus 10 plus 2 parentheses 6x minus 7 is going to give us the circle, which is 360. Solve for x. Collect like terms carefully. I like to underline my x's, double underline my numbers. It's 10x plus 12, so that's 22x. That's 76 minus 24. That's going to be positive 52 equals 360. I have 22 equals 308. I'm going to see there's an x here. 22 and 308. I know 2 times 4 equals 8, so I'm going to try 22 times 14 and see what happens here. That's 8. That's 8. 0, 22. That's 8, 10. Carry the 1, and there's my check. So dividing by 22. I know x equals 14. Now, let's see if it actually works. You want to never stop just at x. So I'm going to come over here, and I already have 76 here. 10 times 14 is 140 minus 10. That makes this 130. And this 6 times 14. That's 84. Minus 7. It's going to make that 77. So that makes this 77. So that means this arc is 2 times 77, which is 154. Now, let's see what also actually works. Opposite angles also should add up to 180. So if this is 77, this should be 103. Let's see, there's a couple ways to check to make sure our numbers work. Frame that 103. That 103 grabs this going this way. And if you add 76 and 130, that makes 206. Half of 206 is 103, so that's a check. That works. Let's do another check. We can also add up these arcs and make sure they add up to 360. So 154, 76, 130. There's our 360. So we found all possible arcs and angles. Let's do another problem together. Step 1, you want to darken the vertexes that are on. Wherever you have an on, that's where you use the Post-it notes. Whenever you have an on, that's where you use the Post-it notes. So I'm going to start by framing this angle. Why? Because it's the only one with the algebra. So I frame it up. Makes it easier to see what you're working with. And we know that this angle is half of that arc. Angle equals arc over 2. It's an inscribed angle. Therefore, our angle here is 3x minus 1 equals the arc 5x plus 10 over 2. I'm going to cross multiply. Physically distribute. And you end up with x equals 12. Let's see if that actually works. 3 times 12 is 36 minus 1. That means this is 35. 5 times 12 is 60 plus 10. That makes this is 70. And yes, 35 is half of 70. But wait, there's more. I don't ask you to just solve for all possible or just these. I want you to find every possible angle, and I would add arc. So ready? Well, let's go for this angle right here. It's an on, so you can frame it. Sweep the angle, come over here, sweep the arc it's grabbing. It's grabbing 180, that means this is 90. You have one more angle here, let's frame it. Sweep the angle, sweep the arc. We don't have that arc, but let's see what we can do about that. We have 180 and 70. That makes that 250 away from 360. And we get this is 110, which would make this back here 55. Now you think you have all the angles. Let's do a check. Let's do 55 plus 35 plus 90. There's your check, because that adds up to 180, and that adds up to 360. Everything works together. Let's do one more problem. First, we're going to start by darkening all the ons. And the on is where you frame. I'm going to frame at this angle because that's where my algebra is. Sweep the angle, follow it out. It is grabbing this arc. So your algebra, angle equals whatever the arc is over 2. We have our angle, that's 4x plus 18 equals, and our arc, we go like this. That's going to be 5x plus 5x, that's 10x. 15 minus 5, that's 10. Don't forget the 2. Cross multiply. Distribute carefully. Let's solve for x. Okay, let's check that. X equals 13. So come over here, let's do the math and see if it works. 4 times 13. It's 52 plus 18 gets us 70. And we come over here. That means here to here has to equal 140. And then what we also know is true is that opposite angles have to add up to 180. So that means this right here, these two have to add up to 180. That makes this 110. We'll see if it works. This angle, if you frame it, grabs this arc. Grabs from here to here. If this is 110, this should be 220. Because angle equals half the arc for an inscribed angle. Now let's check our outsides, 220 and 140. There's your 360. This last page, I'd like you to follow the instructions. These 4 dots, attempt to do this on your own and find all possible angles, and I would add, in the process of finding all the angles, you should find the arcs as well. Do this on your own. Pause the video and then restart. Let's check your work. I'm going to move kind of quick because you should be just checking your work, not copying. So this was an on. So step number 1, you should have framed this up. And your first relationship was angle equals half the arc. So that means from here to here, you should have 2 parentheses 6x minus 12 is your algebra. Then you can use that to go all the way around to solve for 360. Solve for x. Okay, positive 6 minus 6, that cancels. So minus 24 equals 360. I'm going to try 12 here. So I know if I divide by 32, x equals 12. Let's see if that actually works. 6 times 12 is 72 minus 12 is going to be 60. This is going to be 2 times 60, so it is 120. 7 times 12 84 plus 6, that makes that 90. And let's try this one, 13 times 12. and then minus 6 makes that 150. Let's check and see what else we can find. Opposite angles have to add up to 180, so that means this is 120. And if you frame this up, 120 go like this. That would be 240, which that is 120. So it does fit, and if I go like this, 90 plus 150 is 240, plus 120 is 360. There's your check.